Hey guys, so Leica announced the Q3 43. Uh, I don't have it, I haven't held it, and I haven't seen it. What I do have is a Q2 here, so I know the size. Why am I talking about the Q3 43? Well, this is obviously a 28 millimeter lens, which is a great lens. This is a great camera, it's really fun. This is not my camera, because I'm generally not a huge fan of 28 millimeter lenses, which doesn't mean that I don't shoot with 28s, but I'm a real fan of the real normal lens, which is obviously what the 43 stands for. 43 is the actual diagonal of full frame 36-24. So an actual normal lens is actually would be technically mathematically a 43. Now, I don't know for what reason, but 50s, the 50s have been the normal lenses for cameras forever. And again, a lot of people really like 50s. I've always found them a little bit constricting. I've always really liked that in between, that like 40, 43 focal length. I'm going to go into a little bit of a history of why what cameras that I've used. So I've had the Sony, what is it, the R2, AR2 with the 40 millimeter Voigtlander lens, which was an M42 mount. I really loved that combo. Loved the 40 millimeter, did really well on that Sony sensor, really used it a lot. Obviously manual focus lens. Really, really like that. Sony also had the, what is it, the RX2 or something like that. I'm gonna put all these photos up there so you guys know what the cameras are. And that was the really fixed lens, small camera, great sensor, 35 millimeter size, f2 I believe it was, autofocus, great camera, love that camera, great files. It was almost a little too small for my hands. I remember I did a lot of stuff with that camera, always had it on me, had that pop-up finder, fun camera. Even had like I get like a cheap underwater, like a plastic just case for it, and took it in the ocean and swimming and stuff. Again, great camera, autofocus, was a little small. A next logical step was when I got my Hasselblad, the X1D. Hasselblad made a 45p lens, which was actually the cheapest lens that they made for that camera, and I really, really liked that lens. That was a great lens, I thought. Autofocus, again, the X1D had shortcomings. Files were good. Obviously, autofocus was a hit and miss camera, but a really nice combo. I really like the size of it and the weight of it. Again, this is the Q2, which is the Q3 is exactly the same size. These lenses are not necessarily small. This is a friend of mine's. He got that grip on it. Otherwise, you kind of lose it, and you have the thumb grip on it. So that's kind of a, that's good in the hand. Everything's great. So why did I even look at the Q3, or why was I even looking at that when it came out? Well, I saw this video that a dancer shot with it of herself, and it's a great video. I'm going to link it up there. Just a fantastic video, really showed, especially working with that one lens, with that normal lens, and using it to it like great ability, in my opinion. So that I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is really, really great stuff. It's a Leica. It's very expensive, just like this was. And that's kind of always the thing with the Leica, right? I mean, I've had M Leicas, film Leicas, I had an M3, I believe, or an M4. I had one of the first digital Leicas, the M8, which I really liked. I thought it was great files. Again, quirky camera, you know, manual focus. I don't even know, what is that, a 10 megapixel file back then? Great camera, fun stuff. But it's always, I actually preferred using, again, Voigtlander lenses on that camera other than the Leica lenses. You know, I think that what Leica is doing is absolutely fantastic. What they're doing for photography is absolutely fantastic. I just read an article on Leica galleries. They have now, I think, 29 Leica galleries. They're really expanding that. What they're doing for photography is fantastic. I think that, you know, the Leica clientele is the owner of the owner of the Leica galleries mentioned something in the article that she can always tell if image was taken with a Leica camera, and that kind of made me laugh a little bit, especially since the you know, again, the Q3. I'm holding up the Q2 because I don't have the Q3. It's a new lens, 43. It's designed by Panasonic. The sensor in the Q3 is the Sony 60 megapixel sensor. It's a great sensor. There's no problem. I'm sure the lens is great too. Everything that I've seen looks absolutely fantastic. And again, it comes down to the same thing, how all these cameras now are absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is the Q2. I think this is a 47 megapixel camera, a 42 megapixel camera. Again, I'm listing these Sony cameras, you know, like the R2 that I shot with. These files are fantastic. The RX files, fantastic. There was even for a little bit of time, the Zeiss was supposed to come out with the Zeiss ZX with a fixed lens. The looked really great size. It had a huge screen on the back. It had, I think, built-in Lightroom capabilities with a big internal storage. That camera looked fantastic. I'm not sure if it ever sold, where it went. I'm gonna look it up and maybe post a picture of that in there as well. I think it was the same 35 millimeter lens with a in-lens shutter that the Sony RX had, I believe. So, you know, there have been these cameras out there, and every single one of them I was really interested in, or I used to have, because I really, really like this normal lens, which is the your natural point of view in a way. And that happens to be with 35 millimeter, that happens to be 43 millimeter. So for me, a 40 millimeter lens on 35 millimeter was always, that was the perfect lens. Now, obviously, you guys know that I shoot with the GFX right now. And the GFX, obviously, there is a couple of things that GFX has. First of all, the GFX has a, I believe it's a 55 or 50 pancake lens, which I tried, and that is the normal lens. That's why they made it a normal lens. I found it a little bit, and this is, again, different formats. You know, Fuji has the 33-44 sensor, so it's a little taller if you talk about horizontal frames. And so for medium, for that medium form, for the larger than full frame format, or whatever they call it now, the lens has to be just a little bit wider for me. So we're more talking about like actually a 45, maybe a 40. So this is the GFX with the Astra Hori 40 millimeter, which is right now probably my favorite combo in terms of just shooting. Now I could take this lens, this thing off, but it just looks cool, I think. It's really compact, it's really small. Again, I'm gonna hold up the Q2 to compare. With the lens, it might be a little bit shorter. It's obviously wider, but yeah, I mean, they're size-wise very comparable in my opinion. Obviously this is manual focus, so I have to focus on the back here. It all depends on how you shoot and what you shoot. A lot of people shoot with the back screen on this camera because they're not really used to the finder. Obviously the Q3 has a new finder. I think it has a tilt screen on the back too. So this is definitely one of my favorite combos now, just to go out and shoot. And again, 40mm for this sensor. It's a little bit on the wide side, but I do like it because it gives me that natural frame and that natural depth perception. Now, another lens that I really like on the GFX, and again, we're talking about normal lenses, is one of my favorite, probably the favorite lens on the GFX, which is the little zoom that they made, the 3570. Now, why is it 3570? Well, it's because if you go right into the middle of this zoom range, you're getting the normal focal length. You're getting that 43 that Leica is talking about. Obviously, which is kind of a 50, 55 on this. And that gives you that normal range, except that with the zoom lens, obviously, you get a little bit closer in and a little bit wider if you need it. That's why this lens is so incredibly versatile and so fun to use. Again, I'm going to show this in comparison with the Q2. I mean, yeah, of course it's bigger. This also, these files are, even a Q3, these files are just better. There's just no going around that. How much better? I don't know. This is also really, I don't know, obviously I took the finder off this one. If you put the finder on, it's a little bit bigger. We're also way up there in terms of price. I mean, this is what is the Q3, like $7 grand? That's not a cheap camera, and you're really buying a Sony sensor with a Panasonic lens. Now again, I'm going back to what the owner of Leica said about, she can tell any picture taken with a Leica camera. I don't know how you can even say that, because I think it's kind of silly. I don't, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, people trying to tell, what's the iPhone picture from what's the picture of the full frame Sony, and it's hard to tell. So I think that's a little wild. But in general, I guess this is the point of this little rant video here, that I really, really like the fact that Leica has come out with that 43 lens. I really recommend looking at that video of the Dehancer, of the ballerina, because what she's done is it's just a great video. It's great images, and it really shows what that camera can do. Now, that said, it also shows that, first of all, you don't need that many lenses. You can pretty much do a lot with one lens, and I think that at the end of the day, that 40, that medium normal lens is more versatile than, for example, a 28, because a 28 will always give you a certain look there that you might not be looking at. Yes, I know you can crop in, but I don't know. I'm not buying a $7,000 camera only to use these digital crops, and I think that's it's kind of weird that Hasselblad even does that. I think the same thing with the 43. They give you like 3 or 4 digital crops, which is really just cropping into it. So I don't know how much sense that makes. If I shoot with a with a 43, I don't really think about, oh no, I'm going to crop into 20% of the frame afterwards. I think that's kind of silly. If I want to shoot like that, I'll take a different camera. So I really like the fact that again that Leica has done this, because I feel like a lot of people could get something out of being, if I say, confined almost to that one focal length. And that one focal length is very much, maybe that's why I've always liked that. It's, wide angle lenses give you a different, it's a look. A telephoto lens is a different look. I've always been, I've like ultra wide landscape shots. It distorts the image, it makes it look really cool, but it's not how you see it, what you see. Shooting, there's people, who swear by 85s with a 1.4, because those portraits are just like buttery and everything falls off. That's not how I see. I see people, sitting there, standing there, and I see pretty much, I see them in their surroundings. I see them with their background, and that background to me is not really, doesn't just go to nothing. It's kind of, my eyes are getting better, but it's still, there's detail there. I see it. And these normal lenses, these kind of a little bit wider than normal lenses, give you that impression, just like the way you see it. People look the way you see it. The frame is kind of the way you see it, which is why I really like it. And I really am happy that Hasselblad did that with their camera. It's interesting, Hasselblad, because I mentioned Hasselblad. Hasselblad just came out with the limited edition Landscape X2D, and it comes with a 55 lens, which is, again, the normal lens for that sensor. There's a reason for that. Although, again, I really like the 45p lens for that Hasselblad system. I think it's a better, it represents that a little bit better, but to, everybody might have a different opinion about that. For example, this lens, again, this is the Fuji Zoom 35 to 70. The 35 is a little bit, it's a wide angle. It's probably like close to like a 30 or 28 or something. Again, different formats show differently, reads differently. The next zoom lens up from this is the 45 to 100, and I've had that lens. It's a fantastic lens, fixed f-stop, f4, great lens. But when shooting people, I've sometimes wish it would have been a little bit wider, especially when shooting horizontals, again, for editorial, commercial stuff, which is always kind of why I shot a lot of stuff with this lens, because I was able to just, get a little bit wider, especially for group shots and stuff. So, which is really why the 40 on this lens is fantastic. I absolutely love this lens. It's just great. Manual focus, yes. We don't have to talk about that, but it's a different kind of shooting anyway when I'm shooting like this. So I know that a lot of people will say Leica has its thing, and I completely agree with it. When I started photographing, my first camera was a Praktica, and then I was a Minolta, and I had a friend of mine his dad was collecting Leicas, and he had you know, a whole bunch of M cameras. He had some Rs too, and we go over there and we get. He literally had him in a display case, and you know, every now and then we got to take some out. And he always kind of traded them and got new lenses and this lens and this lens and this lens, and sometimes we got to take him out and actually take pictures with him. And honestly, I think that we took more pictures with those cameras than his dad did. I don't think I ever saw him taking pictures with these cameras. He just loved to handle them, and he just loved the way they looked. And maybe he had them as an investment. I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that, really. And they're great cameras, and he loved photography, and he, you know, these were the pictures that he saw that his idols, these were the cameras that his idols shot with. So that's what he shot with, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Which is also why I think it's great that the Leica galleries exist, because you see these pictures on the wall and you look at it and you're like, whoa, this is, you know, this is what it is. But it, just because you buy that camera doesn't mean that you take that picture, and I don't think anyone really says that. What I do applaud Leica, and this is again full circle, is that if you find that camera that you want to pick up and you want to take with you, and you want to just take it out and you want to take photos with it, that's the one that matters. I know that a lot of people say, you know, iPhone is the camera I always have with me. I actually don't like shooting with the iPhone at all. I do shoot it every now and then, and the image quality is getting better and better and better, and every time it gets better, I look at it and I'm like, oh, man, it's just, it looks great, but it's not there. It's not, you know, there's more to photos that I really want. And you can put filters on it and stuff, but that's, I don't know. In a way, the better the photos get, the less I want to shoot with it. So the camera that I take with me that I shoot with is this one. And why? Because it has the best image quality of any camera that I've pretty much ever had, you know, the most versatile. And interchangeable lenses gives me all the flexibility. This is a lens that I love, and it's dirt cheap if you can get it now. I don't know if people are just found out about it and not just, but it's hard to get, I guess, now. And if that camera for you is the Q2 or the Q3, and you really love 28s, or you really like that, you know, you think, that 28 is a little too tight for me, 43 is the way to go. I mean, that camera will make you so happy, and I see a lot of you know, YouTube stuff on it that people are like, I'm not gonna, you know, this is it. Again, it's not cheap. So I guess I've covered everything about this. The one thing I haven't covered is, and again, I keep coming back to the Fuji, because I went through, when I shot film, I shot a lot of film on Fuji. I had the 680, which was the big studio camera, and I had a 690, I had a 645, and a lot of those cameras, or all the 690, 645, they were all fixed lens cameras. And they were, that's what really made me fall in love with Fuji. I love the lenses, I love the way, I love the cameras and the ease, and I mean, I really love them. I guess I just read that Fuji next year will come out with a fixed lens GFX. It's a rumor. I don't doubt it for a second, because it makes a lot of sense. They have so much history making fixed lens bodies. They're great at it. And I'm pretty sure, I know the 670s and 690s, and they had two versions, like they had the wide angle and then the normal kind of. I'm really hoping that they're going to come out with a, I'm hoping for a GFX fixed lens with a 45 f4. That would be my absolute dream. Hopefully it'll happen. Until then, I'm just going to shoot the GFX 100 with the Astro 40, which is great. And if I really need autofocus, I'm going to take my little zoom with me. And yeah, it's small. And it's really compact and it's really easy, and it does everything. And yeah, so again, thank you Leica for making these cameras and putting them out there for a, you know, not cheap, and I'm happy that people buy them, but there's a lot of stuff out there. If you have a Sony, if you have a Nikon, if you have a you know, I keep seeing pinhole lenses and stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that you can pretty much replicate what this does with a, you know, third-party lens. There's a lot of Voigtlanders. There's a lot of Astro and stuff makes lenses for every single mount. It doesn't have to be you know, autofocus. It doesn't have to be manual focus. There's a lot of stuff out there. And I think that don't have to have a Leica, especially since, like I said, you know, Q3, Sony sensor with a Panasonic lens. Guess it has the red dot that makes it a Leica. I don't know. I guess that's up to you. But so, thanks for watching. Sorry about the rant. I really, really love that normal lens.